You're watching The Ugly Inside. Subscribe below.
Southampton welcome Sunderland next in the Premier League, and joining me today to help us preview the game, I'm joined by two Sunderland fans. I'm joined by Gareth from the Wise Men Say podcast, and I'm also joined by a writer from Sunderland Fanzine, the Roker Report. I'm joined by Michael. Welcome to the show, guys.
Not too bad, thanks for having me.
Generally good, thanks for having me. In terms of Sunderland's season so far, it's pretty depressing, but yeah, look, I'm sure talk about that.
This is our third Premier League game then so far this season. Sunderland yet to pick up a point, 2-1 losses both to Man City and your local rivals Middlesbrough. Tough fixtures. How do you feel about those fixtures so far, and how are the Black Cats shaping up?
In terms of how we're shaping up, but not very well. We've got a lot of problems at the moment in terms of injuries. Kabul has gone. He went to Watford, went back to London for personal reasons. Obviously, Lamine Cornet was massive for us last season. So they've gone. We've lost Jan Kershaw through injury, Cattermole through injury, Sebastian Larsson's out. We've only got one right back because Billy Jones is injured and DeAndre Yedlin's gone because he was on loan. We've only got one striker in Jermaine Defoe. Yeah, it's not been ideal. Obviously, Jan and Villa as well, who we're trying to sign, I think. He's gone. So only of the team that finished against Everton last season when we stayed up, won 3-0, only 3 started against Middlesbrough. That was Manoni, Van Arnold and Defoe. And Manoni's actually picked up an arm injury today, suggesting that he's broken his arm. We're not in very good shape in that respect.
Middlesbrough, whether you classify them as our local rivals, is a bit a funny one, because a lot of Sunderland fans are actually quite iffy about that subject. I classify them as a derby, but it doesn't feel like a derby defeat, strangely enough. That probably makes no sense, but either way. Man City I didn't expect anything out of, because all I wanted was just to not get hammered and put in a good performance. And we were unlucky to actually not get a point out of it. They needed a penalty and an own goal to beat us. So Borough wasn't our first team out. We had about 5 or 6 players that are meant to be squad options. But you would certainly look at our first few games and think Middlesbrough was the opportunity to get 3 points.
Obviously, we all know that Sam Allardyce is the England manager now. He kept you guys up last season. David Moyes has come in. So what's different to Big Sam's reign, if anything at all?
I mean, it's difficult to tell at the moment. You know, under Sam we had a platform, and that's kind of been destroyed. In 3 months, we've gone from probably looking the most secure we've been in a long time to being the most disrupted. You know, Moyes was the right man, definitely. I think most Sunderland fans would say that David Moyes was the right man. So the managers changed. Well, the pattern's kind of the same. Change the manager, for whatever reason that might be. You know, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference in terms of results on the pitch or the situation off it.
Well, I mean, Big Sam was always known for the long ball tactic. That was what he was stereotypically associated with. But the strange thing is, at Sunderland, we rarely saw that in the second half of last season. And there was a number of games where we actually played quite well. In fact, one game, incidentally, was at your place when Van Dijk broke my heart in the 93rd minute.
That's right.
Yeah, we actually played all right against a pretty decent Southampton team at that point. But I think one big thing that Sam did was that he got a massively successful January transfer window behind him and brought in Kone, Kirchhoff and Kazri. And there were 3 signings that massively transferred. Well, say massively, we only finished 17th, but you know, they still helped us to stay up. And as for Moyes, I mean, he's just walked into a really difficult situation. If we get to the reverse fixture later in the season, you can ask me more about what the difference is in style of football. But there hasn't really been much of it right now. But we're still in, I hate using the term, we're still in kind of transition, because we've got a thin squad, ridiculously thin.
David Moyes is up there in the top 5 Premier League games played. On paper, you're likely to stay up, but as we all know, nothing is won on paper. So what are your personal expectations of the season, and how can you achieve it?
To be honest, survival has to be the aim. If we can finish 16th, 15th, that would be a good season for us. I know it sounds really negative, but it's just a situation that we're in. You know, yeah, the TV money's come in and a lot of teams will benefit from that. I mean, we kind of clawed back from a lot of money that we spent and didn't really achieve anything. David Moyes has got a very difficult job. I think he is capable of keeping Sunderland up, but he needs to do something in the next 8 days in the window. You know, I think it would be a case of, if we don't strengthen in the right places, we could be in serious trouble. It's going to be a case of, I would say, we'll be looking towards January going, if we can be in touch. If we're in the bottom 3 and in touch of 17th, then it wouldn't be we would be in reasonable shape to try and get out of it. Like that's how bad the squad is. I mean, it's pretty poor.
Although you're never classed too big for anything. I feel Sunderland shouldn't be in the situation where they're just scrapping to stay up. When you consider the fan base we've got, the amount of years, this is our 10th consecutive year in the Premier League, but you don't have the entitlement to any of that. You've got to go out there and do it. So, to be honest, I'd probably, at the minute, well, right now, it's probably people are so depressed, we'll probably just take fourth bottom again, but look respectable. Just as long as we don't get relegated and just finish a few places up from the relegation zone, that would probably be decent enough for me.
I've seen a few new faces arrive at the stadium a lot this summer, including a number of former Man United players and also another player that played under David Moyes under Everton, Stephen Pienaar, made his debut the other day. How can they be key to keeping you guys up?
I think Januzaj could be. Again, he's probably got his own internal battle. You know, he needs to, take responsibility himself and start doing something. He can't blame everyone all the time, and I think that David Moyes will get the best out of him. His set pieces at the weekend were atrocious, but his general play was pretty good. He looked tired towards the end. In terms of the other players we brought in, I wouldn't expect Love to be in the side for much longer because I think we've been trying to sign a right back all summer. And McNair, when other midfielders come back, I wouldn't have thought he'd get in ahead of Catamole, ahead of Kershaw. And if we re-sign Jan and Villa, he won't get in ahead of him. So in terms of the signs we've made at the moment, obviously Januzaj is the one who's going to catch the eye. Defoe's going to be the key once more. I mean, you saw last season Southampton starting on the bench, came off the bench one chance and scored.
It's early to judge McNair and Love, but I think Love has looked relatively shaky at right back a couple of times. I thought he did all right against City, and to be fair to win, but against Middlesbrough, you could tell. I was watching the game, and you could tell he was an absolute bag of nerves during it. McNair, well, for some reason, I don't know if he's classed as a defender or a midfielder, but we were shoving him in midfield when John O'Shea went off against Borough, putting Rodwell at centre back. That's interesting, but McNair, I think McNair and Love will improve over time. And as you say, for Pienaar, actually he did the simple little passes quite well against Middlesbrough. So to rely on them to keep us up, it would be a bit of a stretch. I think we'd be in a better position to judge that in about 8 days' time or so, whenever this is going up, but by September the 1st. So,
well, there were a few number of youngsters playing against Borough last weekend. Who do you think we'll see line up against Saints on Saturday?
I don't think there'll be a lot of changes because we haven't got a lot of players left. Duncan Watmore, who was in the side last season, he's got a chance of playing because Barini's got an injury. He's got a foot injury. Obviously, Januzaj's still a young player. McNair's a young player. Love's a young player. Djilabodji's 27. So you'd be looking at the back line. I mean, centre halves, unless Kone recovers from his injury, which apparently he's got, the centre halves at the weekend will probably be Jack Rodwell and probably Djilabodji.
Okay, I'll assume Manoni's probably going to be. I would say Pickford in goal. Unless I think we've got that young former Liverpool right back. Is it Javier Manquillo from Atletico Madrid's been linked? So it'll be Manquillo. If not him, it'll be Love. Djilabodji will be in centre back. I'm pretty convinced of that. Possibly Kone, but I would imagine it might be Djilabodji and Rodwell at centre back. So you'll just have to keep peppering our defence with shots, to be honest. Van Aanholt at left back. Now, it depends on what formation we play. I would imagine it might be like a 4-2-3-1 sort of thing, where the attacking three midfielders can interchange. McNair, possibly Kazri, I don't know, in defensive mid. That's how stretched our squad is at the minute. And then probably Januzaj. I'd like to hope Barini would be back for it. And then possibly Lyndon Gooch behind Defoe. But honestly, you could ask me that and it could be completely changing in 2 days. So I wouldn't take what I've just said as the literal team lineup for Saturday.
You've had mixed fortunes down here at St Mary's in recent years. Your last one down here in 2012, but we'll never forget that 8-0 demolition from 2 years ago. But last time out here, we were rescued by a last-minute equaliser. What are your expectations for this game on Saturday?
My expectations are that if we get anything, I'll be delighted. I think we'll probably lose a game. Some people might say, negative, pessimistic. I'm being realistic. I mean, Southampton have got a far superior side to Sunderland at the moment. It's going to be a really tough game. It always is against Southampton generally, especially since you got back in the Premier League and that you stayed up the first year of Pochettino. Since then, you've gone from strength to strength, and I wouldn't expect anything. I'd be surprised if we got something from the game. I think we hopefully we'll get through it. If we can get a point, great. I mean, we got a point under the Canio at your place, and that was potentially be a worse side than this one. I mean, if we get a point, I'll be happy. And then we go on the international break, transfer window closes. Hopefully we can get some of those injured players back, and I think that's when the season will start for us, really.
If I had to be realistic, I think you should have enough for us, really. I think you will probably win it maybe 2-0 or 2-1 or 3-1. I can't. If we get a point, I'll be very, very happy with that, because I think as much as you'll probably be saying this is a game we need to win, for us it's a game we need to get something out of. We can't afford a third defeat in a row. But again, if our squad is exactly what it has been the last couple of games, I'll be very surprised to see anything but a Southampton win.
Great stuff. Can I push you for a score prediction then?
You can. I will say 3-0 to Southampton.
I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton. That's me being brutally honest.
Well, Gareth, cheers for joining me, mate. Don't forget to check out Wiseman Say over on Twitter, and head over to the website for more Sunderland content on wisemansay.co.uk. Cheers for that, Gareth.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, Michael, you've been great. Don't forget to check out Michael's articles over on the Roker Report, and check out his YouTube channel as well. All the links to his pages are down in the description. But for now, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Cheers for joining me, Michael.
Cheers. No problem. Thank you.